The December State Transportation Board will now come to order. And at this time, I would like to ask Board Member Jeff Lewis if he would lead us in invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you at this time, Lord, lifting you up, offering our prayers unto you. And Lord, we want to be especially mindful of this Christmas season and express our thanks for what we've done.
December State Transportation Board will now come to order. And at this time, I would like to ask,
Lord, just allow us to have a very Merry Christmas and remember you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will do roll call of the state board members.
Okay. Congressional District 1, Ms. Purcell.
Present.
2, Mr. Floyd. Present. 3, Mr. McIntyre. Present. 4, Mr. Brown.
Present.
5, Ms. Key.
Present.
6, Mr. Abel. 7, Mr. Bowen. 8, Mr. Golden. 9, Ms. Dunn. 10, Mr. Boswell.
Here.
11, Mr. Lewis.
Here.
12, Mr. Morris.
Here.
13, Ms. Lemon. And 14, Mr. Sharon.
Here.
Roll call has been completed. We will go forward. I want to welcome everyone here to our December board meeting. As we go forward, I do want for us to remember the season and how wonderful it is at this time of the year that we celebrate together. I also want to say thank you to our board for your attendance today and for being present. We have several members out due to sickness, and they will be returning with us in January. Following through, you each got copies of our minutes of the November board meeting, and having seen those, I will entertain a motion and a second to approve these minutes unless there is any kind of correction.
I move we approve the minutes.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise, the ayes carry it. At this time, we will have the report of the January letting from Mr. Albert Shelby, our Director of Program and Delivery, if he will come to the podium. Each got copies of our minutes.
So, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioner, and members of the board. I'm here to present the projects that the department is proposing to advertise in the January 2023 letting. So, before we present January, here are the FY 2023 results so far. We have let a total of 84 projects. This chart shows the number of projects by improvement type. The value of these 84 projects is approximately $573.2 million through the October 2022 bid awards, and all have been GDOT let. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type, with maintenance, bridge, and road projects making up the bulk of these types. The November 2022 letting awards are currently pending. This is due to the timing of the letting versus the earlier board meeting this particular month. The good news there is no projects have been rejected yet. Now I'm going to discuss the projects in the January 2023 letting. We have a total of 25 projects, and all are GDOT let. The next three slides list these 25 projects arranged by congressional district. So as you can see with this slide, we are letting a variety of projects throughout the state to address bridge capacity, enhancement, bridge maintenance, and safety issues. As has been the trend in the last few lettings, 60% of our projects are maintenance focused. We propose to let a variety of maintenance projects, including resurfacing of roadways and bridge maintenance. These projects are great examples of our continued commitment to maintaining our existing infrastructure and why Georgia roadways are consistently rated among the best in the nation. Our first highlighted project will widen State Route 26, US 80, which is Ogeechee Road, from just east of Lions Parkway to just east of the State Route 26, US 80 Ogeechee Road intersection with Victory Drive, terminating at Kilowatt Drive. The total length of the project is 1.28 miles. The existing two-lane roadway will be widened to provide 2 lanes in each direction, bicycle lanes, sidewalks, and a raised median. The existing bridge over CSX Railroad will also be replaced. This corridor is a hurricane evacuation route in Chatham County. The next project will resurface State Route 1 US 27 Martha Berry Highway from Fernwood Drive to the Heard County line for a length of 7.49 miles. This section was last repaved in 2004, 18 years ago. This project will construct a single-lane roundabout at the intersection of State Route 138 and East Fairview Road. This roundabout will improve operational efficiency and improve safety. Here's a layout of that roundabout proposed. The next project will resurface I-285 from Ashford-Dunwoody Road to Henderson Mill Road for a length of 6.5 miles. This section was last repaved in 2011, 11 years ago. This project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 16 over the Flint River. The existing bridge was constructed in 1960, 62 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 112 over Commissioner Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1952, 70 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. This project will replace the structurally deficient bridge on State Route 60 over Suches Creek. The existing bridge was constructed in 1969, 53 years ago. And here's a ground view of that bridge to be replaced. The final highlighted project will construct one passing lane segment in Greene County for northbound traffic on State Route 15 from north of Cold Springs Road to south of Macedonia Road. The project will also improve the existing shoulder on the non-widened side and replace existing corrugated metal cross drains within the passing lane segment. These next projects will be advertised in January 2023 as design build. The actual letting dates are not until June of 23 and October of 23. We are advertising these early to receive an abundance of quality bids. Here are those projects to be advertised. The broadband infrastructure will include fiber optic cable installed in conduit on the shoulder of the interstate for the limits of the projects. The connected vehicle infrastructure includes the deployment of a connected vehicle roadside units, closed circuit television cameras, and vehicle detection equipment. The first design build contract, identified in blue lines on this map, will construct approximately 350 miles of fiber infrastructure along the interstate right-of-way along I-75, I-475, and I-575. The second design build contract, identified in magenta lines on this map, will construct approximately 385 miles of fiber infrastructure along the interstate right-of-way of I-16, I-516, I-520, and I-20. So we have 25 projects proposed for the January 2023 letting. This chart shows the distribution by improvement type. The estimate of the projects in the January 2023 letting is approximately $131.1 million. This chart shows the dollar amount distribution by improvement type. I now ask for your consideration for approval of the proposed projects presented for the January 2023 letting.
All right, having heard our projects, are there any questions in regards to the proposed project letting for January? If so, I will now entertain a motion that we accept these projects that go forward for the January letting. Have a motion, have a second? Second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed likewise, the ayes carry it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Now we will hear our revision of the construction work program, Matt Markham, who is our Deputy Director of the Office of Planning. Hi, Mark.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioner, members of the board. It's a pleasure to come before you this morning to present proposed revisions to the construction work program. Unlike in usual months, I only have requested action this month. There are no projects to come to you for review. This one project, a pavement rehab project in Congressional District 14, is an addition to the work program. It came before you last month for review, and it comes before you this month for your favorable consideration.
All right, you've heard our report there with the revisions for our construction of work projects, and we have now a need for a motion to approve the revisions. Do I hear a motion? Do I have a second? Have a second? Any comments? If none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, likewise. The ayes carry it, and those projects have been approved for revision. Now I'll ask the Commissioner to come forward to give our report.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning on a balmy December day. I'll start with our state fund collections, as always. For the November, last month, $20.18 million in collections, which generally are the transportation fees or the that are being utilized. And as I remind you, the state excise tax is still in suspension at this moment. So that brings our fiscal year to date total to $96.4 million. I did a little research this morning just to sort of do some comparison. The national average retail for regular gasoline is $3.32.9 a gallon, and Georgia's average is $2.92.6. So it's almost the exact what the excise tax is, almost the exact difference of the difference between the national average and where Georgia is. So just to give you a little heads up on that. As a reminder, though, we continue to operate. We're fully funded and operating on our budget, and so everything keeps moving forward, which is good news. Our total employment figure for last month, ending last month, was 3,764 employees. That's good news. That means we hired 70 employees and we had 51 separate, so that's a net positive of 19 employees. Again, trying to get more headcount in the door so that we can accomplish our mission, and as we strive toward 4,000. And certainly appreciate all the work from our hiring managers and especially HR for being innovative, again, leveraging Indeed and a lot of other platforms to get people into the door, and then we get them trained. So it's great news. Really excited to report that. Our procurement report for November, we had 91 professional service contracts valued at $42.2 million for engineering, design, right-of-way, geotechnical, and all the different professional services we need. Year to date, 773 professional services contracts have been executed at a value of over $404 million. Again, all the upfront work necessary such that we can advance projects to construction. Now I'd like to highlight a few projects that opened to traffic since we were together last month, and we'll start in Congressional District 2, which is Lee County, which is our GDOT District 4 out of Tifton. And this was a capital maintenance investment project of over 8.5 miles of milling and plant mix resurfacing on State Route 377 from State Route 195 all the way over to the Sumter County line. The work was complete right before Thanksgiving. It represented, this 8.5 miles represented a $2.1 million investment, and I'm proud to say it opened ahead of schedule. And there's the project there. And also I'd highlight down the middle of the line there, the middle lane is the center stripe is indentation rumble strips. And can't quite see if they're on the shoulder or not, but again, as we continue to focus on fatalities, lane departure and run off the road fatalities had been on an increase, and this year we are actually seeing a decrease on lane departure fatalities, which means that hopefully these rumble strips and technology, this is helping reduce those terrible fatalities. So sort of neat to see in this picture. Also, another capital maintenance project and capital maintenance investment, this time in Congressional District 4 and 5, which is in DeKalb County in GDOT District 7, is 8.7 miles of milling and resurfacing on State Route 155 from the Henry County line to just south of I-20 interchange. Contractor was C.W. Matthews Construction Company, and it represents a $7.2 million investment, and this project was completed ahead of schedule as well. So that's certainly a very busy corridor. And I failed to mention that Oxford Construction was the contractor in Lee County on the District 4 project. Our next project I wanted to highlight is actually in 3 counties. It's a capital bridge preservation project, and as Albert showed you the picture in Turner County, that's a perfect example that the bridge we're going to replace there while we do preservation projects. This project consists of rehabilitation, doing polymer deck overlays, bridge joint replacement, and painting of the steel beams. So I like to compare that to your house. Basically putting a new roof on the house, sealing all the cracks, and then painting it. That's what we're doing to these bridges. The bridge deck polymer overlay basically seals the deck to keep the water from going in and causing rust of the reinforcing steel. When we seal the joints on the bridges, that keeps the water from running down on the steel beams and into the bearing areas where they could rust. And of course, painting the beams are pretty self-explanatory. We clean and then paint the beams. So it's like giving a house a makeover. That's what we're doing for these 3 bridges. One on State Route 257 in Lawrence County, one on State Route 28 at Lake Olmsted in Richmond County, and one on State Route 231 over Williams Swamp Creek in Washington County. Contractor was Comanche Construction, and finished up on November 15th, representing a $2.3 million investment in preservation that will provide more longevity for these bridges. And it was also completed ahead of schedule. Now, as I transition to some updates of some things going on, I want to highlight and point out that you missed Meg Perkle yesterday, and she's not here today because she is representing Georgia at the National Governors Association meeting, which is an infrastructure coordinating summit in Washington with USDOT and members of the White House. So it was a 2-day event yesterday and today. And so very impressed that Meg is there representing Georgia at NGA. And I texted her last night, had a great meeting yesterday. She was able to meet with each of the USDOT modal leaders from Federal Highway, Federal Transit, Federal Aviation, Federal Rail Administration. So appreciate Meg representing us and being away during this time. So really excited to get her full debrief when she gets back. I'd like to highlight the 33rd Biennial Institute for Georgia Legislatures that was held earlier this week, and I certainly appreciate all the board members that attended. Ann and Jamie and Emily and Stacy and Dana and Dennis and Greg were all in attendance, and certainly we had good representation, and it was a great opportunity to meet a lot of the new legislatures and get acquainted with ones that got reelected. And Janine was able to provide an update on the electric vehicle plan that we've put out. Her session was titled Electric Mobility's Rapid Acceleration, who also had Commissioner Pat Wilson for Economic Development, who did a great job of telling the story of how the automotive industry is moving to Georgia, and also Chairman Steve Gooch and Chairman Rick Jaspers, who chaired and co-chaired the EV Study Commission that Josh reported to you on yesterday. And I had an opportunity to provide the new members and the existing members overview of GDOT, sort of a little bit of an overview of what we do, where our funding comes from, where it goes, and then a little bit of, as Matt Markham did yesterday, talk about freight, and I was able to set the stage a little bit to show how much freight, agribusiness, food processing, and e-commerce is going to continue to grow out to the year 2050 with the great work that the planning team's doing there. So really a great biennial, and it was really good to see everybody, and I felt like there was a really good spirit of cooperation and partnership, and I was just pleased to be there. What an honor. Also, along some news, again, our intermodal division is doing some great things, and you heard some things yesterday from intermodal, but really pleased to say that we were asked to participate in a 3-day workshop organized by the Federal Transit Administration for state oversight agencies such as the Department of Transportation's and rail transit authorities. So in Georgia, the Rail Transit Authority is MARTA for heavy rail. So I remind you that state DOTs or other entities in other states have responsibility for ensuring compliance with state safety oversight regulations that are federal of fixed rail or heavy rail transit systems. And this workshop brought together both FTA folks, again, public transportation agencies, and their oversight agencies such as us. And we had really pleased that Clement Solomon, our director of intermodal, was asked to participate jointly with the chief safety officer for MARTA, Ralph McKinney, on a panel discussion sharing the aspects of how state DOTs and rail transit agencies work together. And it was a really great outcome to be asked by the associate administrator of transit safety, Joe DiLorenzo, who I've got to know over this last year. He asked that we set the example, that MARTA and GDOT actually have set the example that they wanted to share nationwide of how to work together, how working together works. You remember that old saying. So in doing our responsibility, which is a serious responsibility for ensuring safety and security of rail operations, and the partnership we share with MARTA has been fantastic. So what a highlight, and Joe even sent an email thank you to say what a great job it was to Clement and to Ralph for doing a good job and setting a good stage. It's very nice and first class on associate administrators' behalf to follow up and send a very nice email. So as I said before, on a balmy 60-degree December day, it's time to remind you that this week is winter weather prep week. And balmy this week, but as we know, winter is around the corner here, and we have to prepare for that. In fact, we've been working with GEMA this week and pushing a lot of information out on social media, again, about preparing for winter weather and making sure everybody has the supplies they need and are prepared. And as we do every year, we continue to try to improve our preparation and response and be ready by preparing our equipment and getting things done. We're actively preparing and coordinating our brine operations and equipment and materials and staffing and making sure everybody's ready. In fact, we're deploying 25 new cameras in our salt barns, and we showed you this technology before where we can get real-time data about inventory and quantity, so we can be more strategic on where we deploy from and where we may need to replenish quicker as we're in those events. At this time, too, I'm very proud to say that all our districts have completed their dry runs where they actually hook up plows to dump trucks. They ride their routes. They understand what their responsibility is for, and including other districts that actually, South Georgia districts that come to Atlanta, they come and actually make sure they know their routes they're responsible to patrol. So we have done that. And again, a great partnership with GEMA as always when we have these events, working with them, and we'll continue to do that. I'm gonna knock on wood now. I like this weather, and let's hope it stays to be a little warmer this winter, and we're prepared for the worst and we'll hope for the best. That's where we are. Speaking some of the best of GDOT, it's really this time of year, as Ann opened the meeting, we're talking about a special time of year, and each year the governor and the first lady have asked state agencies to participate in the Secret Santa program hosted by the Department of Family and Children's Services. This is the 4th year that GDOT's been part of that. Last Thursday, our HR director, Monica Ivy, and you can see Tweety Nedrick there with her in the picture, and a team of Santa helpers from GDOT delivered gifts over to the Capitol for 42 kids. So we basically adopted 42 kids here at GDOT. Everything from games to tablets to bicycles, scooters, skateboards. You can see all the gifts there. A lot of gifts for these 42 kids that will certainly make a difference for them. I just want to again commend our leadership team, our division directors, our office heads, and our district office heads. For them, they are who participated and made these Christmas wishes for 42 kids a reality. But it takes a lot of effort. We don't have a sleigh quite big enough, so we have to take a couple of trips with vans and to get all these toys back and forth over to the Capitol. So I certainly want to give a shout out to Brian Groover and Jeff Stone over at OEM for their work to be the Santa and deliver with the sleigh of good stuff. So really thankful for that. And as I end up my report, I just wanted to close with a letter I happened to find, and here's a picture of it. Thought I'd share with you. I didn't know what it was, and obviously you see who it's to, so I thought I'd open it, and thought I should read it to you. And the letter says, "Dear Santa, I hope you rested up from delivering last year's presents. I want you to know that the Georgia Department of Transportation has been striving to achieve a place on your nice list this year. The department's been working very hard all year to provide a safe, innovative, efficient transportation network for the citizens of Georgia. Santa, let me provide a recap of some of the department's achievements from this last year to help put us on the nice list. Santa, I'd like to tell you about how the department and the State Transportation Board was recognized with so many awards in 2022. The list is too long to put in my letter, Santa, but here are some of the highlights. Georgia's most influential women from Engineering Georgia: Emily Dunn, Stacy Key, Dana Lemon, Haral Patel, Janine Miller, Kimberly Nesbitt, Meg Perkle, Ann Purcell, Kathy Zahul, and of course Emily Dower was recognized as one of Georgia's 50 notable women. GDOT's Office of Procurement, Santa, won the Achievement and Excellence Award for the National Procurement Institute. And GDOT's District 3 Talbotton Road Expansion Project in Columbus was selected as the regional winner of AASHTO's America's Transportation Awards. Next, Santa, GDOT made a lot of progress on the MMIP projects. State Route 400 express lanes are in active procurement right now. The I-285 at I-20 East interchange in DeKalb County, we selected a developer in April of 2022, the East Interchange Builders, and that notice to proceed 1 was given in July 1, and we anticipate construction early next year. Also, Santa, I-285 westbound auxiliary lane extension design builder was selected in May 2022, and things will be getting underway soon. But Santa, we can't forget the I-85 widening for Phase 2. In early October, GDOT celebrated opening and delivery of the first 4 miles of the additional lane north and southbound of I-85 in Jackson County. Santa, also the I-285 East Side Bridge Replacement Projects is the make-ready work for the express lanes on 285. Started construction in January this year and opened the first 3 bridges, Red Wing Circle over 285, all ahead of schedule in July. And Santa, last but not least, the I-285 and I-20 West interchange is currently having public open house meetings, and our procurement is starting with a virtual industry forum presentation on Monday. Santa, let me tell you about the completion of the Savannah Harbor Expansion Project. On March 8th, the deepening of the portion of Savannah Harbor and the associated shipping channel was completed. This was part of a 23-year effort to deepen the Savannah River from 42 to 47 feet. This dredging means substantial economic benefits to Georgia and the nation by allowing larger and more heavily loaded containers reach the harbor. Santa, in 2022, we marked 15 years of Georgia 511. And over the course of 15 years, 511 has assisted more than 14 million travelers. The 511 system also received significant updates in 2021 with enhanced mobile app, a better website, and a new phone system so that 24/7, 365 road conditions and access to roadside assistance is available for our travelers. In Santa, I remind you that on average, there's 1,500 calls a day and 90,000 visitors to the 511ga.org each month. It's the Christmas gift that keeps on giving. I mean, Santa. It's the Christmas gift that keeps on giving. Santa, also, TIA continues to deliver projects all across their regions. River Valley and Heart of Georgia, Altamaha passed referendums this year to continue the TIA program for another 10 years. These two regions, along with the central Savannah River area, which passed the continuation of TIA in 2020, will stand to deliver over 787 projects to invest over $1.98 billion in these regions as part of TIA 2. The TIA program has resulted in billions of dollars of revenue for projects, will improve infrastructure, safety, and boost the efficiency of our economic and civic development. The 4 active regions of TIA include over 1,000 projects at $1.9 billion, 177 projects currently underway, and $699 million spent to date. So collections for TIA 2 will start in January of 2023. Santa, every Christmas, you need to buy lots of batteries for these toys. And so with the battery theme, I'm very pleased that GDOT was one of the first 35 states to get our National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Plan approved by Federal Highway by the deadline of August 1st of this year. And our plan is to deploy over $130 million over the next 4 years of putting high DC fast charging electric vehicle chargers across all of Georgia. Santa's worked hard to GDOT's worked hard to continue and improve communications to the public we serve. This year we launched a new website to deliver a new and improved customer experience that makes it easier to find information while keeping mobile users top of mind on their cell phones. Secondly, just a few weeks ago, we launched Ahead of the Curve podcast, which will be a monthly podcast going forward. So check that out. And Santa, thirdly, we continue to expand our social media presence by adding TikTok account and grew our audiences across social media by 10% this last year. Santa, GDOT's working to save lives by partnering to host safe driving summits for teens. In 2022, GDOT formed a 2-year partnership with the nonprofit Let's See 43 Foundation to reach teenagers and help educate them on good driving practices through a series of safe driving summits related to GDOT's Drive Alert, Arrive Alive safety initiatives. To date, the department has jointly hosted 2 driving summits and more scheduled in the future, with 2 scheduled for early 2023. More than 500 students have attended the summit so far, hearing from speakers and attending breakout sessions, again, created to impress upon them the importance of safe driving. Santa, to say, or this letter went on to say, Santa, you can see that GDOT is continuously working to find better and new ways to serve transportation needs of the people of Georgia. This year, I would really like for all the drivers to put down their cell phones, buckle up, slow down, and of course, drive sober. Most importantly, I want everyone to arrive home safely to their loved ones. And it is signed, sincerely, a GDOT elf. So that was the letter I found. While I appreciate the unnamed elf who authored this letter, we know that it only scratches the surface of all the accomplishments by the men and women of GDOT. Each month I get to stand before you and highlight the awards, the partnerships, emergency response, innovations, and the work of every day that happens on the nation's 10th largest transportation system. And that's not possible without the dedication and commitment of the now nearly 3,800 employees of GDOT. And I am truly, truly appreciative to them for what they do so that Santa puts us on the nice list each year. So I just wanted to share that with you, and just certainly appreciative for what they do to keep us on that nice list. I wish you all happy holidays and a Merry Christmas. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Well, it sounds like a fantastic report, and I certainly agree with Santa's letter. So thank you very much, and I think we need to give a hand of applause for our GDOT staff and for what we do. Now, does anyone have any comments or questions to the commissioner? Seeing none, I think you have covered this well. Thank you. Now we'll move into our action items to be taken care of by the board, and I will ask Board Member Stacy Key if she will come forward for a resolution.
Good morning, fellow board members, our guests, our partners, and the GDOT staff. It's always a pleasure to recognize a devoted public servant who has accomplished great things on behalf of their constituents. This morning, I have the pleasure of celebrating a distinguished gentleman who has demonstrated character, competence, and commitment over many years. DeKalb County Commissioner Jeff Rader is retiring after 16 years of service to the people of DeKalb County. He is representing District 2. I want to take a moment to say thank you for a man who has set a wonderful example of servant leadership. Commissioner Rader, would you please join me here at the podium? I'd like to present you with a proclamation on behalf of the State Transportation Board. Read it. Whereas Jeff Rader is retiring from DeKalb County Commission after 16 years of service as the Commissioner for District 2. Jeff was first elected to the Commission in 2016 and re-elected to the office 3 consecutive terms without opposition. He represented more than 140,000 residents of DeKalb County, including the city of Decatur, much of the cities of Brookhaven, Chamblee, and part of Atlanta, along with communities between Emory University, North Lake Mall, and unincorporated DeKalb County, Georgia. And whereas Commissioner Rader, legislative focus on a governmental integrity and quality of life of DeKalb County residents. He worked to ensure that the residents' concerns were met. Let me tell you, oh, but he did. The county operations ran smoothly for the public good, for advocating for improvements of the DeKalb County Organizational Act and for stronger budgeting and evaluation processes. Sponsored legislation regulating late-night establishments and requiring interior housing code compliance for multifamily rental housing, and championing over 15,000 square feet senior center in Mason Mill Park. And whereas Commissioner Rader has played a key role regarding transportation-related matters for the betterment of DeKalb County citizens, his list of accomplishments include working in partnership with the Georgia Department of Transportation to manage traffic speeds, improve pedestrian access and safety at various locations throughout the county, secure $500,000 to match the DeKalb County SPLOSH program to fund repairs to the Orange Drive Bridge at North Lake DeKalb Mall, and he was instrumental in the promotion of a quiet zone along CSX line in Druid Hills. And whereas Commissioner Rader currently serves as chair of the DeKalb County Commission's Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee, he's on the Board of Managers of the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia, and is on the Board of Directors of the National Association of Counties. He served 2 terms as a presiding officer of the Commission, 8 years as DeKalb County Board of Health, including 2 as chair, and is a past member of the Georgia Planning Association's Board of Directors. And whereas Jeff has been widely recognized for his work and holds several awards for his efforts in county government, including Democracy Award from the Common Cause for his work to improve governmental transparency, an ACCG Legislative Advocacy Award, and 2 ACCG Legislative Leadership Awards. Most recently in 2020, a Citizens of the Year Award from the Citizens Action and a German Marshall Fund of the United States Fellowship. And whereas Jeff is a graduate of the University of Georgia Franklin College and the Georgia Tech City and Regional Planning Graduate Program, for more than 16 years he has dedicated his career to the citizens of DeKalb County, working to guarantee that the county is a good steward of taxpayer dollars, and therefore be it resolved, the State Transportation Board recognizes Jeff Rader for his 16 years of public service as County Commissioner, serving with integrity, creativity, and fidelity to the public interest of DeKalb County and the residents of District 2. And be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution shall be spread upon the minutes of this meeting, and a suitable copy be presented to Jeff Rader in honor and recognition of his retirement from DeKalb County Commission after 16 years of service. Adopted on this 8th day of December 2022. Mr. Rader.
Thank you so much, Board Member Key, and I really can't tell you how much this means to me. I see Board Member Robert L. Brown, who I knew as a young man when I worked at the Metro Atlanta Chamber, and many of you are also familiar in work that I've done. The list of those accomplishments simply, I think, reflects a commitment to being able to achieve all that you can in local elected office for the benefit of your constituents. And I want to, though, recognize each of you, though, because this ethic of service, I think, is what makes Georgia great and makes it possible for us to achieve great things in Georgia. A lot is made of the prestige associated with elected and appointed office, but I will tell you that the burden can sometimes be significant, and I want to recognize the efforts and the sacrifices that you have made, as do other elected officials and appointed officials, to be able to serve in what is substantially a volunteer capacity. And so it has been a great opportunity for me to work with you, with others, and certainly with the GDOT board members that represent my district in DeKalb County. This is a wonderful and very touching recognition, and it will be displayed prominently in my office as I go forward after my service, which ends at the end of this year. So thank you, each and every one of you, for this thoughtful and very generous award, and I certainly appreciate it every day. Thank you.
All right, having heard the resolution, I need a motion to accept it so it will be part of our minutes. So moved, and I need a second. Have a second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed likewise. The ayes have it. Congratulations to you, and thank you, Board Member Key. Moving forward, we will go into our board committee reports. Board committees met yesterday for information that was provided to them, and I will first ask our Vice Chair of the Statewide Transportation Planning, Strategic Planning Committee, Board Member Jeff Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Statewide Transportation Planning, Strategic Planning Committee convened on December 7th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Board members present included myself as Vice Chair, Purcell, Dunn, McIntyre, Floyd, Key, Boswell, Lemon, and Sharon. First order of business, Matt Markham, Deputy Director of Planning, provided an update on the Georgia Freight Plan. Matt gave an overview of the elements and the methodology of the plan, including the use of business-driven key performance indicators to help inform the state's freight investment priorities. He also highlighted some initial findings, such as the estimate that by 2050, freight volumes in Georgia are projected to double by tonnage and more than double by value. GDOT's freight plan is scheduled to be submitted to Federal Highway Administration in January of 23. So the planning office will provide an additional plan update to the board next month on the final findings and recommendations prior to submission. No actions were taken during this committee. There being no further business, Vice Chair Lewis adjourned the meeting at 2:20 p.m. This concludes my report.
Thank you so very much. Going forward, the Legislative Committee, it convened yesterday at 2:30 p.m. Board members present were Floyd, Sharon, McIntyre, Dunn, Boswell, Lewis, and also myself. The first order of business, Joshua Waller, our Director of Policy and Government Affairs, presented the proposed 2023 legislative agenda, summarized the final recommendations of the Joint Study Committee on Electrification of Transportation, and provided a federal update regarding the current continuing resolution set to expire on December the 16th. Our committee did take action. Jerry Sharon made a motion to adopt the 2023 legislative agenda. It was seconded by Johnny Floyd and unanimously approved. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion from the full board to approve our 2023 legislative agenda.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? Seeing none, I call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, likewise. The The ayes carry, and this concludes our report for the Legislative Committee. Moving on into the Board Committee report for the committee as a whole, the Legislative Committee convened at 2:45 p.m., and members present was Floyd, McIntyre, Dunn, Boswell, Lewis, Sharon, and myself. The first order of business, Deputy Chief Engineer Andrew Heath provided a presentation on the new proposed Transit Trust Fund formula program. The program is designated to allocate available rideshare fees dedicated to the Transit Trust Fund on a formula base across the state. The program will mimic the existing LMIG program process with an application-based approach for transit providers outside of the ATL region. The program dollars will be allocated by formula based upon multiple factors, including population and the operation of a multi-county system. The department will be initiating this program upcoming January of 2023 with additional information being provided through direct announcements to transit providers. Our second order of business, Mr. Heath provided a presentation on the new proposed freight rail program. This program is comprised of three separate sub-programs: the Rail Enhancement Program, the Rail Preservation Program, and the Rail Industrial Access Program. The department will manage each sub-program through a solicitation process with determining the eligible activity and the eligible participants. The department will form a rail program evaluation committee, which will review applications for determination of a public benefit. The program is designed to reoccur annually, subject to appropriations, with initial guidance and information to be communicated this upcoming spring. There was no further business for an action to be taken by this committee, and it was adjourned at 3:14 p.m. by Ann Purcell. Going through what we have heard today and the excitement that we have been provided under what our department does, I will entertain any new business at this time. Seeing none, old business. What I want to say is that today, through the Commissioner's report, we have visited into yesterday's events and the accomplishments, some accomplishments, because there are too many to list in Santa's letter. But we also focus on today and what today means for each and every one of us as we go through. It was also mentioned in many of our reports about safety being a key issue, and it certainly continues to be that of the Department of Transportation. I want to thank every one of our board members for your participation in our board throughout the year this year. I also want to say thank you to all of our employees at GDOT and for the super job that they do for the state of Georgia, and they really stand up. We also heard about the future, what we need to be expecting with weather and preparation. Our GDOT team is ready to move at an instant as the weather comes in, whether it be from the ice storms that possibly will come, the hurricanes that possibly will come, the tornadoes, and the list goes on. But our team is there. The future and what our people do is a very positive thing. And I and all the board members want to say thank you for what you do and for what our board does for the state of Georgia. Commissioner, we have a great team, and each of us, we may be a very small part of that team, but we are proud of what the Georgia Department of Transportation does for the state of Georgia. So again, let me say season greetings, happy and safe holidays, and a very, very Merry Christmas. And this meeting stands adjourned.